It's been one momentous year since Ukraine's pro-democracy protests helped sweep away the corrupt regime of Viktor Yanukovych. An ensuing civil war in Ukraine's east and military incursions by neighboring Russia have hastened calls to bring Ukraine fully into the EU's economic, security, and values sphere. An EU-Ukraine association agreement was recently signed and democratic elections held. Meanwhile, the EPP Group recently decided in Riga and Strasbourg on an ambitious program to speed along Ukraine's reform efforts while nominating its courageous Euromaidan leaders for the European Parliament's prestigious Sakharov Prize. Jacek Saryusz-Wolski, EPP Group Vice President and European Parliament Rapporteur on Ukraine, insisted the EU and the West finally must view regime change in Russia as the only way to save Ukraine from destruction.
It was an illusion that we can change Russia by multiplying economic, societal, political, cultural links, and that we have to expect rather the change within Russia, going the way which it went in Ukraine, by internal change of those who want to live in peace and in prosperity and according to the values of Western world.
World oil prices are plummeting at the moment. What energy security measures do you think the West, the EU, as well as the Ukraine need to take to protect not only the EU's economic interests, but also those in the future of the Ukraine?
Well, first of all, the European Union has to continue to be less dependent and more secure by diversifying sources and routes of delivery. Which means rely on other sources than Russian ones. If they come back to the behavior of, according to the international standards and law, not occupying and annexing other countries and not using commodities as weapons, then we can closely cooperate. But for the moment, it is impossible with the regime which is in Moscow.
What reform efforts taken together with the Ukrainian Parliament and the European Parliament do you think will best aid civil society in attacking systemic corruption within Ukraine?
I would be very optimistic if not for the Russia waging war on Ukraine, because Ukrainians today are facing impossible challenge, reforming and fighting aggression from Russia. If they do not reform, they will lose the war. If they do not win the war, they will not be able to reform the country, so they have to do both. If the Western values, Western society aspirations will not win in Ukraine, that will produce a domino effect in the whole post-Soviet sphere, and the West will keep retreating and losing.
What measures can the EU take to counter the agitprop war being waged by Russia and by many accounts being waged pretty effectively so far?
Consider that Ukraine is a battlefield for our values, and those who were able and ready to die for our values now deserve our defense, not because we are so kind and loving them, to put it bluntly, but because it is in our profound interest to defend our values further on from our frontiers as today, in order not to have the danger on our soil tomorrow.